Okay, hi, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the webinar on the effect of COVID-19 on SMEs in the current situation that we have. So we've got the coronavirus global outbreak happening currently, but SMEs in Saudi Arabia, SMEs in the region is what we're going to talk about. Uh, One of the key reasons for this would be the important role that SMEs play in the kingdom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our panelists today. We have with us Dr. Rumi, Dr. Haya, um, Ms. Lujain Nasif, Mr. Abdul Rahman Al Sati, and Mr. Basim Al Biladi. Um, and if everyone's good, we can begin. Dr.
Yes.
Haya, my first question, I would like to start off with you. SMEs constitute the majority of all businesses in the kingdom. We're effectively running at close to 90+% capacity in terms of SMEs. They absorb 70% of the workforce. They drive almost 50 to 60% of all value-add activities for the OECD countries. Um, what makes SMEs resilient at this time?
Okay, thank you very much, Munawar, for that wonderful introduction, actually highlighting the importance of SMEs, not only to the Saudi market, but to markets all over the world. So in many ways, what we have learned, not only through this crisis, but to many crises that have engulfed the world previously, is that SMEs are really resilient. So in many ways, their size ensures that they are not so heavily reliant on employees. There is commitment from the owners of the SMEs because this is their bread and butter. They want to be there in the long term. They have a commitment to the societies in which they operate. They don't have the options of packing their bags and going elsewhere. So they want to make sure that they're there in the long term, that they serve not only their customers, but their communities. And so they have a high level of perseverance. And also, let's not forget that a majority of those small businesses are also family businesses. So they have a real vested interest, not only in the businesses, but again in their communities. So I think in many ways, their resilience comes from that commitment to the context in which they are operating.
Fantastic. So does the same context, the same situation apply also for startups, or is it a different level of? Is it a different game for them in the current scenario for startups?
Is that me too?
Yeah. Yes.
I,
Sorry, Doctor. Yeah, or Dr. Rumi, please.
yeah, startup is a totally different ball game. There were a number of recessions in the world, and the last recession was in 2008. And guess what? During that recessions, there were some companies, the companies like WhatsApp, companies like Airbnb, Uber, Venmo, Pinterest, Square, Slack. All these companies were formed during the recession last time. So rest assured that whenever there is a recession, whenever there is a situation where there is a disruption in the market, where the market is not behaving in the regular manner, there are a number of opportunities. And there are a number of opportunities. There are companies which are forming right now, which are supplying medical equipment in different countries. If you go through the whole situation, you will see that even in Saudi Arabia, even in other parts of the Gulf and Asia, there are small startups which are forming right now when we are talking about it, which are providing the things which are necessary for the market right now. So as far as the startup is concerned, there is always a demand. There is always a need, but it depends on the innovation. The classic theory of innovation for entrepreneurship says that when you are doing something which is according to the need of the market, and no matter what the situation is, even if there is a war, there will be a need of certain products, and there will be certain companies which will be forming up. But the question which is more important right now is that there are certain small and medium enterprises which are already there. What should they be doing? Whether they should be sustaining losses and continue, or they save wealth, or they do nothing or anything else. This is the question of the hour, because people cannot pay the rents. People, especially small and medium enterprises, they cannot pay the salaries, they cannot pay the fixed expenses. So the first thing I think which SMEs need to do is that they have to reduce the fixed costs. They have to renegotiate, and they have to renegotiate. They have to renegotiate their salaries, they have to renegotiate their rents, and the most important thing is that they have to look at it, that what else they can do with the resources which they right now have. There are companies which they have different kind of resources. The only need for them is right now that how they can think entrepreneurially and they can use those resources in an innovative manner. And we are fortunate that we have today with us Abdurrahman Saati, who is one of our star students as well, and an entrepreneur. And I was talking to him about the resources which he already has and how he can utilize it in a different manner. I would like Abdurrahman Saati to talk about it, that how he is using his resources. Abdurrahman, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rumi. So yes, the impact was strong on startups and SMEs. Immediately, what we had to take extreme measures to cut losses, overheads, fixed costs. So the first thing we did is negotiations and agreements with our employees. So everyone went home before even the government announced the home stay. We decided we should work from home so we can freeze the rent of the office. We negotiated with the office and we freeze the rent. So this way we stopped bleeding partially. Then we put a plan based on the duration of this challenge that we're going through, the prolonged, how long it stays, what we will do. So the first month we said we'll take the salaries as is, because our cash flow was good in the previous quarters. After that, we decided if it's continued more than a month, we'll cut it to half. After that, we will not be taking salaries until the crisis is over. Then we started looking on what resources we have and how we can utilize it that can generate cash flow. As our business is in tourism and entertainment, it's one of the first businesses that have been stopped completely and shut down. So we started looking to our vendors that we rely on, like catering, logistics, and we managed to utilize our logistical resources to regenerate a new stream of revenue that will sustain us during this crisis. Due to this lean approach or shifting in our direction during this crisis has opened up new opportunities to think about logistical services. And we're going further into it and connecting to other companies that needs to transport products or employees. Since we do it in our field, we transport people, equipment, tents, cars, everything. So now why not take it to those who need it now from companies?
So this is an excellent example. And one more thing is very important for SMEs, because SMEs to grow, they need three kinds of capital: financial capital, human capital, and social capital. And social capital is something which is not built in a day. It takes time to build. And this is the time where companies can build their social capital rapidly. This is the time when they can create a goodwill. They can create a goodwill with their employees. They can create goodwill with other businesses. They can create goodwill with their customers, because this is the time when they have to be steadfast and they have to show that they care about people. They care about their employees, they care about their suppliers, they care about their the people they are dealing with. And that will definitely pay in the long run, because there are a lot of examples from the history where companies were able to create goodwill in the moment of crisis. This is just a moment of crisis.
Right.
We have to know that it will pass away. It will pass away, but we have to bank upon this moment to build on it.
Right. So, as Dr. Rumi, you said that the landscape is going to change and new businesses will come up. Existing businesses have to adapt their offerings, as Mr. Abdurrahman Sati said. Dr. Haya, this question is, I would like to ask you this question. Companies such as Sati Adventures are adapting. New companies are coming up, as Dr. Rumi suggested. What SMEs would be most at risk in this scenario? What SMEs could, from the existing profile, what kind of SMEs? We're not talking about the new companies that like WhatsApp and Pinterest that would come up, but what SMEs are most at risk? What are least at risk? Is there a general profile that we can fit them into?
Okay, so I think this is a really important question because we tend to look at SMEs as one homogeneous group of businesses and contributors to the economy. I think at the present moment, we see that most of the SMEs that are at risk are those that are really operating within the services sector. So those like Abdurrahman Saatis, for example, who are saying that they will no longer be able to run their tours or their programs, etc., virtually. And there are also lots of service type businesses where you can't run your operations virtually. If you're a barber or a salon, etc., at the much smaller scale, this will not be an option for you. So certainly, services sectors, I mean, in Saudi Arabia, yes, absolutely, the tourism sector will also be, and the entertainment sector will be hit and are being hit. And we're seeing SMEs within those sectors suffer. I think those who may be at less risk, if that's the right term to use, are probably those that are already operating online, and those that are already offering their services online, and those that know how to do online business. What we're also seeing, I think, is a lot of small firms and also self-employed people attempting to take their offer online, right? And I think on the one hand, that is a good move for them. Because it does help them to keep delivering their service. Many of them are actually doing it for free. But if they don't know what they're doing, then it can also put them at risk because they're not conveying the strengths of their business in a way that will be communicated clearly to their clients and their customers. So some sectors, I think, or the sectors in which the SMEs operate are probably the ones that will determine which ones are at most risk and which ones are at least risk. And also, of course, the geographical locations in which the SMEs are located. So we now see that there are some cities with full lockdowns. And so, whether it's Riyadh or Jeddah, or Mecca or Medina, where people are not able to travel in or out of those cities, that will have an impact on the brick and mortar SMEs that are within those areas and so forth.
So speaking about brick and mortar SMEs, and particularly in regions where they're most affected and so on and so forth. So the SMEs, yes, like you said, definitely have to be innovative, as did Mr. Rumi and Dr. Rumi and Mr. Abdurrahman Sati echo. But in terms of a 360-degree support mechanism that we have over here, how would Ms. Lejeune, this question is directed towards you. What measures would the government be implementing to mitigate the impact of, not just mitigate the impact of coronavirus on the economy itself, but to support SMEs and to ensure that either brick and mortar SMEs are functioning well, or in some instances they can transition online easily, so on and so forth for the existing ones. So, please.
All right, thank you, Nawar, for this question. there's a huge effort from several governmental entities to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 virus on the economy in general, and specifically to support the private sector. So such efforts are coming from the Ministry of Finance, from the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, from the Saudi Industrial Development Fund, and also the Ministry of Human Resource and Social Development, to name a few. I think one of the most talked about efforts is the 120 billion riyal stimulus package that was announced almost 10 days ago, if I'm not mistaken now, or a little bit more than 10 days ago. This package really will cover a lot of the things that were mentioned by Dr. Rumi and Dr. Haya as important costs for SMEs to negotiate or stop the bleeding, as Saati mentioned. This will include covering the cost of different taxes for SMEs. It will also include the cost of government paying for POS and e-commerce services. So that means that they will cover the cost of POS payments that are going towards the service providers, which will enable and make it even more cheaper for companies to go online these days. It's also, there is around 12 billion riyals that are going towards enabling companies to continue employing or keeping their employees on record, as well as training them and maybe even hiring more people. And around 1.5 billion riyals is going to support newly people that are looking for new employment in the economy as well. So there is an effort, however, maybe not all of it is readily available at the moment for SMEs to benefit from.
And these efforts and initiatives, as wonderful as they are that we spoke about, they're all talking about the current stopping the bleeding, ensuring business continuity, so on and so forth. But in terms of long-term planning, and I open up this question, in terms of long-term forward-thinking strategies for, you're looking at business continuity, you're looking at building business resilience at a time when we don't have an end date for this. We don't have a defined period as to when this would get over. So in terms of not just stopping the bleeding, but allowing businesses to go above and beyond, maybe in some instances thrive also. So what are we looking at from that perspective?
Well, something that Saati mentioned in his own business that he's doing is that he is using his current employees in a different track or a different sector. So the Ministry of Human Resources has already started a initiative called Ajir, where it allows companies to, let's say, borrow the laborers from other companies that are in affected sectors and to use them in sectors that are currently facing a lot of demand. So this is one of the initiatives to help businesses moving forward. There's also restructuring of loans, and there's also movement from the government to provide a lot of services that will enable at home or from distance operations. So again, this is all still very new, and we're still seeing these initiatives come to light now.
Right. And so it's fantastic that the government is helping out SMEs. In terms of SMEs also supporting the government during this time, Mr. Basim, if you could jump in. How has your company, Labe, contributed to the government's campaign? How is one SME be able to support the Saudi fight back, basically?
Yeah, hello. This is Basim Vladi. I'm a founder of Labe. Labe is an online mental health platform. We are one of the first platform in the telehealth in Saudi Arabia and the MENA region. To be honest, like one of the first things that we have done is how we could contribute in this crisis. It is a crisis for everyone. It is a crisis for my family, for my brother. He's a doctor. Everyone around us was really panic and has an anxiety. So first thing we have been thinking, me and my team, we have been in a daily meeting, like how we could contribute. Then we have been get an agreement with the Saudi National Center for Mental Health to do an online free mental health consultation about anxiety for everyone for free. So this is the first thing that we have done. We did this agreement very fast. They have been like the government entity was really collaborative with us. So then we have like working 24 hours to launch this initiative in our platform. It was not that easy, but we have working like in this one, and then within 5 to 6 days, we have launched it. Alhamdulillah, now it has been a week since we have launched this initiative last Saturday. It was the first day, and so far, thousands of people get, alhamdulillah, the online consultation and for free from all over Saudi Arabia, and not only from Saudi Arabia, even though from the GCC. And the good thing, alhamdulillah, we have opened the door for every therapist in Saudi Arabia to volunteer with us. We have got a lot, like around 100 CVs from people to be a volunteer, not only from Saudi Arabia. The good thing, those are in studying outside of Saudi Arabia. Those are Saudi students who are studying mental health in Australia, America, Germany. They have been also with us. And alhamdulillah, right now the result is really amazing. And yeah,
that's fantastic. And to see how SMEs are also stepping up to support governments. Ms. Lujan, if I were to ask you one more question.
I would like to add one thing. And also we found like how we could think like lean, how we can find a solution like for like the problem. When we start the initiative, we found that it is, even though we give like a free consultation for everyone 24 hours, it is not enough. There are thousands outside we cannot help. So we start immediately free webinars. So far we have done 3 webinars, 1,000 are participating. And today, after this meeting, and after in 7 p.m., we have a webinar with one of the Saudi doctor about how you could deal with your family and children in anxiety.
That's fantastic, because you're actually reaching out to people and you're able to help them get through this period where all of us are staying at home, and so on and so forth. Ms. Lujan, my question over here focuses again on the people, furthering further to what Mr. Basim was talking about. In terms of efforts, particularly from the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development, how has that body from the government been able to help people from the private sector in dealing with this pandemic and with the changes going on?
Okay, in terms of the Ministry of Human Resources, you can almost divide their efforts into 2 broad initiatives. So one that focuses on supporting the private sector and enabling it to keep its employees by lifting halts on companies due to non-payment fines, by eliminating all fines related to recruitment of workers, by enabling companies to borrow workers through Ajir, as I mentioned earlier, and other initiatives. The second part actually is through the ministry dedicating close to 12 billion riyals to fund and support the private sector and people that are newly seeking employment. So if we want to take a closer look at this amount or how this fund is being used or will be used soon, there is around 2 billion riyals that are dedicated to supporting around 1,000 SMEs in the medical industry. Another 2 billion to support micro and small enterprises, and to support around 6,000 entrepreneurs that want to launch businesses in the current era, as Dr. Mohammed Rumi was mentioning earlier. There's another 2 billion to support 50,000 small enterprises in different sectors around or across Saudi Arabia. And there's another 5 billion that is dedicated to assisting SMEs to maintain, train, and even hire new employees. So there is a lot of efforts going on from the Ministry of Human Resources.
Anything in particular for the industrial sector?
Yes,
Sorry,
well,
Dr.
Rumi. Yes, please, Dr. Rumi.
I just want to add something here, which is very important. I think one of the distinguishing factors of Prince Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship is that we are training, we are preparing our students for entrepreneurial mindset. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for those people. And this is an excellent opportunity for us as well to let people know that having entrepreneurial mindset means that there will be uncertainty in the situation. And this is a perfect situation which is showing uncertainty. In that uncertain situation, in this disturbed environment, as I told you earlier. There will be people who will be banking upon the opportunity, who will be working on entrepreneurial mindset and what we teach, entrepreneurial action and thought process, where people will be looking at it that there are surprises and they have to embrace the surprises and they have to work accordingly. See, you have just told us, Lujan, that government has given so much funding for certain kind of entrepreneurs, people who can come up with solutions. There will be opportunity where people can build relationships with others, join hands, and they can work with them. But they have to look at the affordable loss principle. They have to look at it that the future cannot be predicted. So what they can afford to lose and what is the bird in hand, which means that what do they know, who do they know, and what do they have? And they have to use those resources accordingly to create their own world. Even this situation is bringing a lot of opportunities to create a new world altogether. World will not be the same whether we go out of this lockdown in 15 days or 3 months, God forbid. But then there will be certain people who will be the winners. There will be certain unicorns which will be created during this period. And that's what we teach at Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship. And I think this is the time when people can learn a lot from the situation and they can come up with new opportunities. They can create new businesses and they can create new things which they can bank upon.
Right. So, adding to what Dr. Rumi spoke about, how the Prince Mohammed bin Salman College is aptly poised to go ahead and assist entrepreneurs in moving forth with this challenge, dealing with this challenge. By the way, when I say challenge, one is the COVID-19 challenge that we're facing. The other one is the looming global recession, just around the corner that is being talked about. How can we, when I say we, and I'm going to open up this question to Dr. Haya as well, how can we, be it in terms of MBSC or beyond, support SMEs through all this pandemic in which we're facing? Because SMEs are doing their own thing, the government's helping them out. Initiatives like Mr. Basim's Labeh is also dealing with helping people understand that. But how can we as a community band together to ensure that we've got the right, we're doing the right thing, and what is the right thing?
Okay, thank you very much, Munawwar. I think there's a lot that we can do to support our SMEs. I think it's definitely reassuring all of us that we all have an optimistic entrepreneurial mindset that this crisis will end, and it will end soon, hopefully. I think we are very blessed in Saudi Arabia to have the support from the government that we have. If you look around you, around the world, that is not the case in many places. The issue, however, is what do we do to ensure that SMEs and startups will be in a healthy position to make use of the resource that is out there and that is available to them. We have to recognize, there's no way around it, that however long this crisis lasts, it is providing unprecedented conditions for all of us. Not only those of us who are in employment, but also for those of us who are trying to do their best to keep their businesses afloat, and for those who are looking for entrepreneurial opportunities in the future. At the moment, the vast majority of us are in lockdown with 24 hours a day. We can't get more hours than that. And still within that number of hours, we're having to run our businesses full-time and look after families full-time. Many people have children at home because the schools are shut. And so the struggle of time management, which we suffer from under normal conditions, is even more perpetuated during these times. How can we actually support SME owners to keep running their businesses in ways that are as normal as possible, given these current circumstances and conditions? So I think recognizing that it's not only our needs that are difficult to meet as customers and consumers at the moment, but that it is the needs of those business owners who cannot provide you with the service that you have been used to for so long. I think supporting them in those ways will be very helpful. So ensuring that you do support small businesses by using their businesses, by promoting their businesses, by recognizing that they also have concerns and fears and anxieties and needs as we do at this moment, I think is crucial. Like Dr. Rumi was saying earlier, we're very lucky at MBSC to be working with the students and alumni that we have. I think they're very much the creme de la creme of entrepreneurs wherever entrepreneurs are. And we need to capitalize on that ambition and that motivation, that entrepreneurial mindset to support other would-be entrepreneurs or other startups in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere too.
I just want to add here from MBSC's point of view, these are special circumstances. These are uncertain circumstances, and these circumstances need special skills to start, to grow and develop your businesses, to bank upon the opportunities. And we are lucky that the technology is on our side. We are not just locked down in our houses where we cannot learn. This is the time, unfortunately for the human beings, that we can still stay at home and we can learn, we can sharpen our skills. And that's where MBSC is going to play a part, where, and this webinar is one of the initiatives, with a lot of initiatives which we are aiming for, where we can reach to people while they are sitting at home, and we can help them in developing their human capital to find out that how they can go out without going out and bank upon those opportunities as well. We are already in talks, we are already in planning, and very soon we will be delivering some more lectures, some more question and answer sessions, and hopefully some discussions where people can learn different tricks of the trade.
Fantastic. So drawing upon what Dr. Rumi and Dr. Hayab basically spoke about, of how we're supporting either as MBSC or as a community, there would still always be some businesses, and Mr. Abdurrahman, please feel free to jump in. There would always be some businesses that require people to step outdoors, require people to so how would they be looking at innovating? From Mr. Abdurrahman's travel and tourism business, and also for Ms. Lejeune, the question from the perspective of industries, what kind of support would such, for instance, the industrial manufacturing sector receive from the government? So we're looking at a bit of both. So please, Mr. Abdurrahman, if you want to go first.
So for us, we believe this is a phase and it will pass. During these times, we understand that corporates and government had already shifted their budgets from entertainment and tourism to other more needed sectors. So where we should focus on is the public sector, the consumer, the end consumer. So we're focusing on developing new products, new destinations, new packages that is very lean to the consumer on a massive scale. We have been operating mostly focusing on corporates. On the impact, opportunity loss was 500,000 just by announcing coronavirus in Saudi Arabia. 6 deals we lost from the corporates, and that opened our eyes that after this crisis finish, we need to be focusing on public, not on corporate. And we need to compete in the public sector as strong as the private sector. The industries varies, but service sectors is tricky because it needs human resources on ground. Other initiatives we took is human development, as Dr. Rumi was mentioning. Every week, we are a full 6 employees full-time and 3 board members in our company. Every week we meet once to discuss what we have learned new, either a book we read, a video we saw that develop our personal skills, or something related to the business. so everyone can add up to a big pile of information, and we can grow the company together.
Yes, Ms. Lejeune, if you want to add to this.
All right, so in terms of the manufacturing industries, let's say, some manufacturing industries are blooming, so similar, including medicine or any medical equipment. Those are blooming. This is their time. You have antibacterials, you have cleaning, you have food. All of these different types of industries are really blooming right now. There's high demand for them. But then there are other types of manufacturing industries that are facing a lot of problems. And mainly when you're talking about a factory, you usually have a lot of people. Depending on the type of factory it is, of course, there's a lot of people, there's a small space, so it's hard for them to keep social distancing happening. And there's a lot of investment as well. So what the government has announced, the Saudi Industrial Development Fund has announced an initiative to restructure the loans and loan installments for small industries, or sorry, small enterprises that are currently functioning in the industrial sector. They're going to help them out with their loans, basically, and they're considering doing the same thing for medium and large enterprises. This is not sure yet. They're also in the process, which is very important and going to be very relevant, they're in the process of developing a product to finance operating expenses for small and medium enterprises in the industrial sector. So this has not yet been announced, but we should be looking out for it in the next couple of days, hopefully.
And just to add to it, it's not only the loan part which is applicable and government is helping. There are people and companies which are right now investing money. On Thursday, Na'na, which is an online grocery company, they got $18 million.
Yes.
And yes, the only thing is that we have to think of new ways of reaching to customers. And if we are using the old ways, how we can be safe and secure in using old ways. So both are opportunities. Number one, how can we reach our customers online? And number two, if we have to reach them physically, how we can reach them in a safe and secure manner. So both of these things are creating a lot of opportunities for certain companies as well.
If I might just add, really building up on Abdulrahman Saati's point, as well as those by Dr. Rumi and Lejeune, I think under normal circumstances, small business owners are usually very busy working in their business, right? They're very involved in running the business from day-to-day operations, etc. And they do not have the luxury of the time to actually strategize or work on their plans and on their future business strategies, etc. And usually, if there is one complaint from small business owners, is that they would love to have the time to be able to do that. Possibly this is the time for it, since there is downtime in terms of actual business activity and business operations. Why not try and capitalize on this time to do more of the strategy work, to do some of the training that yourselves and your actual employees need. There's so much offer online, whether through MBSC or elsewhere. There's lots of offer out there. Right. And maybe one way to support the overall SME is to encourage the employees to engage in online training that will help them in their actual professional development and in the growth of the SME going forward. So maybe this is the time in which we can be supporting not only the SME owners in terms of their strategy building, etc., but in upskilling and in terms of professional development of their employees too.
Dr. Rumi, was fantastic that sorry, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add to what Dr. Haya was saying. There are a lot of local, governmental, and private entities that are offering a lot of content for free right now to upskill and uptrain employees. But I think also something that is very important to mention is that we are seeing a pushback from a lot of small so from a lot of SMEs in Saudi Arabia right now, where similar to what Saati and Bassem Al-Biladi are doing right now, they're thinking out of the box. They're trying to immediately stop the bleeding that is happening in any way possible. So if you look at the restaurant industry, for instance, a lot of restaurants are now offering boxes where you build your own meal at home. So this is one way, and since kids are staying at home, you're seeing a lot of event companies that are offering box activities for parents to buy, and then the kids can play with them at home. This is not their original line of business. This is not what they usually do, but they are trying to react to the market in a positive way and take advantage of any opportunity that is available. And this is what should be happening right now.
Absolutely. And going back to what Dr. Rumi was talking about, Nana Direct, the company that received funding of $18 million, they're tapping into into a segment that was previously experiencing low penetration in online grocery shopping in the region. So new sectors coming up, plus companies wanting to innovate. Mr. Basim, if you could add to this on how you've looked at it.
What I would like to add, I always look at the crisis from how could I get benefit from this. And the good thing happened about the Corona or COVID-19 crisis is the education about the online transformation. How could this offline business could go online? And the good thing about our solution, Lebbe, as an online solution, we have been in 2 years giving only education for people. You can get the medication online. And there was a big hustle, especially with the therapist, to adapt with the technology. But right now, all of them get educated. How is a line solution is important? How could you leverage your services to many people in one time? And this is what happened with us. Alhamdulillah, yani right now, numbers is increasing by double. And a sign up, and a therapist, and a consultation, and everything. And yeah, this is alhamdulillah is a good for us. But what I'm having, I'm happy with is the education. I have been in like since 2017 and 2018, 2018, we are following up them and to educate them. But right now, all of them right now, I give you one example, Zoom. I have been using Zoom now for one year and a half for our meeting, webinars. But right now, everyone is educated about Zoom.
So from an entrepreneurship professor's point of view, I tell you what is happening. People like Klaus Schwab was talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and people like Steve Casey was talking about the third wave of entrepreneurship. That fourth industrial revolution and third wave of entrepreneurship has come, and has come in a way that we have been thrown into the sea, where a sea of digital information, and in a sea of using the machine as much as we can. So that's what we have to do. We have to learn. So most of the small and medium enterprise owners and entrepreneurs, this is an excellent opportunity for them to know about the machine and digital information technology and all those things which they have not been doing. Professors like me who have been teaching face to face, they have to learn now how to use technology, whether they like it or not, that how they can teach the same thing and convey the same message online. So I think this is an excellent opportunity for all of us. Yes, there are problems and issues and challenges, and yes, there are certain hiccups involved, but we need to learn and we have to develop ourselves. So let's take it as an opportunity rather than a challenge or something.
I completely agree with Dr. Rumi, and I think it's been fantastic to understand how SME startups can adapt themselves to this particular situation. Adaptability being the keyword. How the ministry is backing it up. How MBSC is prepared to support such startups or SMEs going forward. If we were to talk about 2 or 3 key takeaways for what SMEs should be looking at, I would like to add one in there: SMEs and startups. We've got to be adaptable. We've got to be flexible. Are there any other key takeaways before we end this?
I will
Yeah,
say
please.
it's the goodwill. This is the time for you to make the goodwill. This is the time for you to improve your human capital, which means learn as much as you can. And this is the time to improve your social capital, join hands, build collaborations, and talk to other people that how you can be useful for them without any selfish motive. And that will go a long way. This is the time for entrepreneurs to build their social capital. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
And I believe positivity, staying positive, having a strong spirit during these times can put that energy around you, spread that positivity around you. Entrepreneurs must have that skills to be able to look through that crisis. This is a highlight I would add.
I would also like to add that it's also very important not only just to build your social capital, that's definitely extremely important, but also to reconnect with your existing client base, with your existing community, whether it's through social media, whether it's through phone calls, whatever it is, but let them know that you are there for them and that you are also experiencing the same thing, because oftentimes consumers forget that entrepreneurs, SMEs, businesses, they're run by humans that are facing the same issues. We are all in the same boat. So yes, build your social capital. Yes, create that positivity and spread it and connect as much as possible.
This is what I was saying.
Clients with partners.
This is what I was saying, Lujane. You are absolutely right. Building social capital doesn't mean that you have to go and find new people. You have to be in contact with your employees, with your suppliers, with your customers. That is your social capital. You have to increase it. And you can only do it when you are in contact with them, when you are helping them without any selfish motive. That's what I meant. And you are absolutely right in that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, what I would like to add is sometimes during the crisis, you have to be centralized. You have to take the action. You have to be the first one as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to talk with your clients, with your suppliers, with everyone surrounding with you. You have to be there.
Perfect.
To stand up. You have also to stand up for your client. You have to say to them, we are here, we are helping you. So they will remember you after this will end. This will end, like no matter when, but it will be ending. But you have to stand up and to show them, yeah, it is not easy for us, to be honest, but at least they will remember you after, like what you have did for them.
And just the last thing that I would add is just make sure that you don't spread the pandemic of fear. Okay, I think that's important. I think just
or at least
let's
go to
keep away
Nabi.
from that.
Or go to Nabi if you have this fearness.
This is an excellent wrap up,
Thank you.
Dr. Haya. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much thank you so much for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe, everyone.